All right, Kyle. So I think we know what the secret sauce is. Let's play the Chicago Blackhawks. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Should I say Tim Tebow? Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram, and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. Make sure you're following us over on YouTube. Hit subscribe and get notified when a new show goes live. And sign up to our subtext. Link to that is in the show notes below, because when you do chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, we get your opinions on everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. All right, sir. Today will be Avalanche and Blackhawks heavy. Avs minutes ago just completed another 5-0 win over the Chicago Blackhawks, and that is another shutout victory for Justus Annunen. So let's start there, because yeah, it's the Blackhawks. I get it. But it's also a guy who a lot of people maybe were not necessarily writing off, but were saying, some people were. There are some people that were out there saying, like, yeah, he's not it. I've already thrown in the towel on him. And there's others that were saying he still needs some seasoning, maybe next year. And you get at least 2 games against a professional team. I don't care how bad they are, and they're bad. But for where Justus Annunen is coming from, which is he only had 7-8 games in his pocket before these last 2, even really last 3 that he's played well. You got to give him some credit here for that. Let's start there.
Absolutely. And I think the thing the Avalanche need to do, we say this 100 million times, every day is done with by now. One of our favorite phrases, ride the hot hand. And honestly, Detroit on Wednesday night, before this last shutout that he pitched against the Chicago Blackhawks, we talked about a 2-1 loss against the Detroit Red Wings, where the Avalanche failed Justus, and he had a 28 save performance where he played out of his mind when the Avalanche did not. And we talked about that team needs to go out and redeem themselves for Justus. What better way than Wednesday? Because he's given you back-to-back shutouts against Chicago. Go out there and win one for Justus against Detroit.
It's a interesting dilemma, I think, right now for the Avalanche, because number one, they've been saying for a while we have to give Georgiev more rest. And you've got these 2-3 games in a row that he has played well for you. So I'm kind of the mind of, like, okay, like, his confidence is at an all-time high right now. And I know it's not a long history to go on, but that does a lot for an athlete.
Yep.
That does a lot for anybody in just life, having confidence. So do they do that? I mean, you see this a lot. Like, you just, the everydayers know my East Coast team, New York Rangers. Henrik Lundqvist went through this.
Yeah.
Where he was struggling, and he had a couple week break that he didn't play, and always saying, like, he's our guy, he's not going anywhere, just going through a funk, so we got our backup going. This year, Igor Shesterkin was going through a little bit of a funk, and they had Jonathan Quick, who was playing out of his mind. They kept him in. I'm not saying Annunen is because you do have to, again, you do have to take into account it is the Blackhawks, but see what happens. See, and the other game was the Red Wings. So that's a good team. See what he can do. I would put him back out there, Kyle. I would do it at least for this next game, and you got the Red Wings and see what he can do against them.
And see, and when we had the crossover with Adam Denker of Locked On Lightning, he talked about how hot JoJo was for a little bit and how it was one of those you keep Vasilevsky off for a little bit longer. Like, let him heal. And
Right.
honestly, I would throw this back at you. Like, why would you put Georgie in right now? You've played him into the
Yeah.
ground.
Right.
What do they need? What is the purpose of putting Georgiev back in there? What if he has another floundering 2-3 goal effort and the Avalanche have to bite and scratch and claw to get a win over Detroit? What does that benefit the Avalanche right now? Ride the hot hand. Hey, Eustace, what has he done where are you making the argument put him back on backup? I say let's just ride Eustace for a while.
So you got the Red Wing, and it's a home game, so
Yeah.
the crowd would be behind. They already are. You know what I mean? So throw him back out there, and then I wouldn't overwork him. Yeah, he's
No.
not there yet. So what's the harm in giving him 2 games in a row, and then you have a division game on Friday against the Wild. Throw Georgie back out there for that game.
Bingo.
I'm not against it. So we'll see. I mean, this Red Wings game is Wednesday, and yes, while I keep saying like it's the Blackhawks, they were getting tons of shots on net on him. So it wasn't
Absolutely.
like he didn't have to make some sprawling saves and kind of, really, yeah, I mean, it ended up being 5-0 and probably could have been higher than that. But I have Money Puck up here. So Annunen, low danger shots 36, medium danger shots 6, high danger shots 5.
Yeah.
That's a decent amount of high danger shots. And if you just want to see what Mrazek had on the Blackhawks side, where the Avalanche scored 5 against him, Avs with 13 medium danger shots, only 3 high danger shots. And they scored 5 goals on him. It was just 3 high danger shots. And Annunen had 5 against him, shut the door on everything.
And both teams ended up with 37 shots. But Eustace, he had 4 power plays that he didn't
Yeah,
allow
that's
anything in. Like he's
yeah.
getting tested. It's the Avalanche gave up 4 power play opportunities. Eustace, you said he played good. I say he's playing incredible right now. He's making saves. He's making wise decisions. He has done nothing to say, okay, that was a great performance. Let's stick you back in the backup role for a week and a half, and we'll pull you out when we need you. No, I say keep writing this, rest Georgiev, and then when a little bit deeper, like I agree with the Minnesota game, bring him back out for that. But this is what we've been asking for. You can't keep writing Georgiev into the ground. Problem solved. Here's your answer. Ride Eustace for a little bit.
37 shots on goal is 37 shots on goal.
Yeah.
And yeah, 4 power plays. They are the worst power play team in the league. But hey, I mean, if they only had 1, you could be like, yeah, okay. But 4, hey, like that's 4 opportunities, and he shut the door on all of them.
Yep.
It's this like give and take right now because yeah, it's the Hawks, so take it with a grain of salt. But also, this is a newbie. This is a young kid doing this to you right now, and that's not only is it a confidence booster for him, it's a confidence booster for the team. It really is.
And
And playing in front of him and just getting a 2 points, you hope that, again, we've said this so many times, catapults them into the next game. That remains to be seen. But just to focus on Annunen, he is in his mind right now. He is the king of Denver.
And we talked so many times about Georgiev, 1 shot, 1 goal, 1 shot, 1 goal, 1 shot, 1 goal. Eustace held that shutout when the Avalanche started to collapse with a minute to go in that third period. He didn't let the moment get to him where it was, I got another shutout. I'm about to have another one against Chicago, another 5-0 game. And he's not letting that sink in. He's not letting the shots, just the ugly attempts that Chicago was trying to make to break that shutout to have just a little bit of a victory coming out of Ball
Something.
Arena. Like
Yeah.
Eustace, he stood up the entire game and he is doing everything asked. And you could see that also in the confidence in the rest of the team. They're feeding off that, they're rallying
Oh,
around
sure.
him. And you could see that this is back-to-back 5-0 games against Chicago with Justus. So this is a really good recipe right now.
I mean, it's working, and if it's working, why upset them? Now, if he goes out and if he does play in the Red Wings game and shuts them out, you're playing Minnesota again. You're playing the entire like you are playing until someone gets a goal. Like you don't stop that. But Red Wings can score. We know that. We'll see. I'm really interested to see where this goes. Again, like we record minutes after the game is over, so I haven't seen the comments from the team and from head coach Jared Bednar. But I'm anxious to see them because I just love seeing guys that not like overcome the odds or anything. He's too young for that, but just finally getting a good opportunity. And when they brought him up that last time and sent Prosvetov down, we did a show about that. We're like, okay, here's your chance because you're going to get the chance between now and trade deadline to kind of make the decision for the Avalanche, and he has done that. And this benefits them because they don't have to go out now and go find a backup because he's been that guy. Is there still an opportunity or a chance that they do it? Yeah, there's always a possibility for all this stuff. But I mean, what else do you want the guy to do to prove that you don't need that position right now? Go get your assets somewhere else for a trade. So,
and this has been the hype around Justus the entire time. So it's finally starting to pay off. Like he's had this potential the entire time. He's had his moment in the show and then back down to Loveland, moment in the show, back down to Loveland. It's always a little bit more seasoning, a little bit more, just a little bit more. Right. Guess what? It's finally cooked. This meal is ready and Justus is cooking.
Hopefully, like it's working right now. You know what I mean? Like I am not, I don't want to go to the extreme of like, yep, he's our backup for, next year. So pen him in next year. Maybe he starts there, but he's still young. It's right now. It's exactly what you want right now. But like Sam Malinsky, we saw he was the hot name earlier too, and then he had a couple iffy games and they sent him back down. Okay, that's fine.
Prosvetov earlier in the year.
Yeah, you right. You hope this is the end of it for Justus, but we shall see. Right now, it's all gravy. It's all gravy. So yeah, it's the opposite of Russell Wilson. We'll say that.
Let's ride.
All right. Let's get our first break in, and a guy who really needs no introduction just continues to putts along here, and that is Nathan MacKinnon. So let's discuss him. We'll do that coming up next. All right, let's hear from Sleeper and Kyle, still scouring the interwebs and app stores to try to find a daily fantasy sports app better than Sleeper. Any luck yet, sir?
No. Sleeper is still number one.
Still number one. And we want to remind you that you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper's our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. So now's about the time where I go to you, sir, to ask you, who is your sleeper pick of the game for the Avs next matchup against the Detroit Red Wings? Who would that be?
This is the debut of Valeri Nichushkin. I'm going to predict
maybe
he makes his debut, and he's going to make his debut with a goal.
Okay, well, we'll put an asterisk next to that one because we don't know for sure, but if he's coming back, okay, I think that's a fantastic one. If not, why not go goalie? Go with Justus. We haven't gone goalie yet.
Let's do that.
All right, we'll do that. So all you have to do is pick whether studs like Val Nichushkin or, hey, even Justus Annunen will record more or less than their sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game. So use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL and you'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That code is LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. All right, so let's discuss Nathan MacKinnon first, and then maybe just some other things about this game that we like too. He's at the 30 mark, so he has scored in every single home game so far this season. That is 30 games, and we'll say it again, but if you haven't heard it, get out from the rock that you're living under. He's on a pace to the only thing that he can beat is Wayne Gretzky, and Gretzky has 40. To which the season that Gretzky did it in, there were only 40 home games, so he did it in every single home game that was played for that season. And of course, because there's 41 home games, Nathan MacKinnon could do this. In my mind, I was thinking like if he can get to 30, then we can really start counting this down because he's within 10. He's within striking distance. And obviously the way that he's playing and the way that the game is played now, it's very, scores do exactly that. And he is on a pace right now. He's going to get close to this thing. And, how we're talking about with Justus, like what's the downside of putting or not putting him in? What is there to stop Nathan MacKinnon right now? Dude is on a heater that he could really do this thing.
And and the closer he's getting to this mark of passing Wayne Gretzky, which is incredible. And just the consolation prize, just something also to keep in mind. He's chasing down Stastny's record with 137 points in franchise history. We've talked about the gaudy Stastny brothers numbers that they used to put up, and that's also attainable. Not just something you could dream about. Like he could get there with ease. And Nathan MacKinnon, he's knocking down big names. Like he's already passed Bobby Orr when it comes to this home streak. That's big time stuff. And to be between Bobby Orr and Wayne Gretzky in the history books as of right now, that's incredible. But it's where Nathan MacKinnon belongs.
And then he just passed Peter Forsberg for assists, where he is on that list for assists. So yeah, like he's really like what, halfway through his career.
Yeah.
So there's still a long way to go, but there are guys ahead of him right now in a list of just consecutive home games that have scored. So he does have to pass those guys to get to Gretzky, but where Gretzky is only ahead of him is to start a season.
Yeah.
So that's where it's just him and Gretzky, and Gretzky's got the 40. MacKinnon's the only one that's got 30. So that it's just the two of them that are on that list, and that in and of itself is pretty crazy that have 30 or more. So yeah. It's going to take a Herculean effort for an opposing team to really stop him from not getting on the scoreboard for a game, because he's on a roll right now, and I just don't know how you stop it.
Yeah, and with the ups and downs of this season and everything, the storylines we've had all year long, you have Nathan MacKinnon chasing just incredible records, both within the organization and National Hockey League history, with Wayne Gretzky right ahead of him. Then you have Cale Makar also racking up these records for most points, assists by defensemen. Like it's one of those things that we kind of just take for granted. And when it's all said and done, when you look back on the year, you can't take Cale Makar and Nathan MacKinnon for granted. Like, yes, we see them all the time, and you're kind of like, you see the 29, you see the 8, it's just kind of commonplace. These are all-timers that are current members of the Colorado Avalanche, and you cannot take that for granted.
It's going to be fun to talk about the Mount Rushmore of Colorado Avalanche in another 10 or 12 years. You can already, if you wanted to make a case for him now, you could, but in another 10, 12 years, that'll be fun. That'll be a fun discussion to have.
Especially if another cup is won by this team, it's going to be a impossible discussion.
That will be the deciding factor, really. You mentioned Cale Makar. Are we okay now? Are people calm for a game? Or because
did you see that reaction? That reaction where he scores that goal. It was hideous. It was an ugly goal. It got in, and he just throws his head back, and you can literally see fumes and just like it was like a hex, which just lifted off of him. And you could see the relief. Like, we talk about it here. Like, does it look like Kale? What's going on with Kale? It looks like Kale is having those same thoughts. Like, what is going on? He finally got that goal, and he's now back to 19 years old instead of 25.
Yeah.
Like, he just looked like he lost so much weight off of his shoulders.
Kind of just going through the stats here. You had the Zach Parise with a goal, so he continues to produce with this team. And why would you think that he wouldn't?
Yeah.
So and he had almost 16 minutes of ice time. So they're I think he started on the second line in this game, if I'm not mistaken. I think he was on the second line.
Yeah, the
Who
Parise
else we got?
confidence is way through the roof right now.
Yeah, it is. So not that he needs that. I mean, he's in the league long enough, but when you're on a brand new team and you're kind of doing what you're doing in only a handful of games, it's good. Colton had an assist. Drouin, he finally got back on the score sheet in terms of a goal. So he had a goal and an assist, and he looked good. He was skating around, he was flying. It was one of those things where it was just like, you're so much better than this team. So that kind of just like lifts you up, in your play, and you're like, okay, I know I can, maybe take some liberties here. And he was flying, he was everywhere. So that shot, the ref didn't even know it went in. Beautiful laser shot by him. Nathan MacKinnon 2-2, Lehkonen with an assist, Mika Rantanen with an assist, and then on the defensive side, you had four guys with points. Taves with a assist, Makar with a goal and an assist, Sam Girard with an assist, and Caleb Jones with an assist, which a lot of people thought was a goal to begin with, but it bounced off two people. That was, I think, the Parise goal that kind of went off his back skate and redirected into the net. But he came back, and first time that he's played in like 2 months for the team, and was fine. And I think that, again, that goes back to the whole, you're playing against the Blackhawks who just can't keep up with you. So good game for him to come back in and kind of get his NHL legs back.
And it's good to see the system between Denver and Loveland is so universal right now and really working well because it's plug and play. Like, you don't see a lot of 4 or 5 games to get warm when you come back up to the Colorado Avalanche. Like, you're seeing a lot of universal plug and play between Eagles that come up. So that's also a sign.
As 1 for 2 on the power play. Here we go, Kyle. Face-offs. They won the face-off battle 52.2% to 47.8%. And I don't care that it's the Chicago Blackhawks. The Avs won a face-off battle. Yes. it is this day. To go opposite of Lord of the Rings. It is this day. I thought it was a good game. You know what I mean? You needed this as a bounce back of what happened against Nashville, and then you get 2 points. So you kind of, because they didn't play, I don't think, tonight. I don't think they played. Let me see quick. But either way, like, no, they didn't play. So no, no, they didn't play. So you just needed it. You needed it. You get back in the win column and you move forward. All right, let's hear. We got a couple subtext people that chimed in, and then our sound check that we're going to get to. And I have a feeling this is going to be Justus heavy. So we'll do all of that coming up next. First, we got eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. It's what brings home the winning trophy. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle, level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, which we call
the Nathan MacKinnon trilogy.
That's right. eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts that you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home the win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. And eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. All right, let's head on over to our subtext crew. We got a couple people who stayed up for this game. We got There we go. Madam Battleaxe. So she always has a lot to say. I love it. What a game. It wasn't so hard. Why can't we do that every time? Jeez. Well, we
Right.
can't play the Blackhawks every time, even though that'd be nice. We'll definitely we were definitely more dominant in this game, but we have to stay out of the box. It's true. Like, we did talk about the four penalties that Chicago had. Those penalties could have really hurt us. She's right about that. And if it was another team, it could have.
Yeah.
It probably could have. Anybody that's not 32nd in the league. Welcome back, Power Play Goals and Caleb Jones. We missed you both. MVP, Justus Annunen all the way. I love looking at how mature and confident he has become between the pipes. Good job, Annunen. Backup goalie, check. That's what she says. I just want to say I was hitting submit for my final exam tonight for class and for her class, and Makar scored. And she got an 82 on her final, and Makar finally scored. Coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence.
That's crazy. I was doing the exact same thing that she was
Yeah.
with a test. So that's crazy. And she brings up a great point. We talk about the Avalanche making mistakes and teams making them pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
Those 4 penalties, the Blackhawks won't make you pay for it. So it's one of those that a much more quality opponent, things like that, it will hurt you and has hurt you all year long. So keep that in mind.
And if I remember in the penalties correctly, 2 of them were on Cogliano, and one of them I thought was a little bit iffy. It was a trip, but it was kind of like behind the net. The guy was kind of going off to the side, and that was a little bit iffy. Byram had one that was just stupid. He just had a slashing penalty. It was just stupid. But you don't want 4, obviously. We got Vargar here. Justus continues his hot streak. He was fantastic tonight. Back-to-back shutouts. There's nothing to scoff at, even if they were both against the Hawks. Congratulations to Kale on passing Tyson Barrie as the Avs all-time leading scorer amongst defensemen. He says Makar is actually 10th on the Avs all-time points list, including forwards. Just throw your hands up in the air. And you're just like, I don't know what else to say. All right. So, any comment you wanted to make there?
No,
is there any comment you can make about Cale Makar? And he's 25 years old, and we've run out of things to say.
No, exactly. Do not take these guys for granted. Like, I know it's nice to have them as a member of the team, but also remember where they are in the history of this team.
It's true. Very much so. So, if you want to get your comments read, sign up for our subtext. Like I said, link to that is in the show notes below. All right, last bit of business that we got to get to. That's our Locked On Avalanche sound check. Kyle and I pick a song each that we feel best summarizes the most recent game. These songs go up on a playlist over on Spotify, which you can search and follow along with. Just search for LOA Soundcheck. This is volume number 3. What do you got for Avalanche and Blackhawks?
When I ask for a love, what should I dial? She said 000000. This means Space Hog. Zeros, plural.
Yeah.
This also goes on to the last shutout for Justus. He's showing out. It's an incredible little run for him, and I like to see him finally break out and catching the eyes of not just Avalanche fans, but the hockey community and the NHL fans at large. So Justus is here.
Why can't we get those? You know what I mean? Like, why can't a story, with Dallas, with Logan Stankoven, comes up and just, takes over? I mean, it's a little bit of a stretch, but does great. Scores in like 3 games in a row. And why doesn't that stuff happen to the Avalanche more? Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the Avalanche version of Logan Stankoven, where you have Justus Annunen who's finally come up. And he's got two shutouts in his last 2 games.
Or Rempe,
why can't we have nice things
with the Rangers, just brawling and throwing hands?
That's a little different. I get it. I mean, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. It's people are their focus is on that, and I think they're playing each other soon. So I'm not really looking forward to that. So
Yeah.
we'll see. For me, and I'm glad you said zeros plural because I was gonna go with the Smashing Pumpkins song called Zero.
Yeah.
But the reason I didn't is the same reason that you picked zeros with Space Hog. Is that what it was? It was Space Hog, right?
Yeah.
Who did that? Yeah, and I love that pick because Space Hog is just only known for really like one song. But they had a solid album back in the
That
mid
Zeros is on
90s.
that album.
Yeah. So I'm going more legendary here for Eustace, and I'm simply gonna go with Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall, because that's totally what he is right now. He
Nicely done.
he is a wall.
Yep.
And let's ride the hot hand. That's the long and the short of it. So all right, that's gonna wrap it up for today's episode. So thank you everybody for tuning in and making it your first listen. I don't know about you, man, but I feel like things are happening where tomorrow's an off day for the Avs. Or I should say Tuesday, because technically we are recording this on Tuesday. I think something's going to happen tomorrow where a move is going to be made. If it is, we will be back tomorrow to discuss it. All right, so it's going to wrap it up for today. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow.
Let's ride.
Terrible.